Mara Cresswell first saw the mirror on move-in day at Hawthorne College. The dorm was a red cranbrick rectangle built in the 1920s, with narrow stairwells and pipes that clanged like distant kettle drums. On the third-floor landing, tucked between the laundry room and the communal lounge, stood a 7-foot-tall looking-glass in a tarnished brass frame. Many passed it without noticing, but Mara stopped, hefting a box that smelled of detergent and exile from home. The hallway fluorescence flickered. In the mirror she saw more than her reflection. She saw herself with hair straightened and swept up, wearing a Letterman jacket she had never earned, surrounded by friends she hadn't met. A banner behind alternate Mara read, "Student Senate Election Night," while her actual self stood there in an old hoodie, juggling doubts. She blinked. The image rippled like pond water in rain, then snapped back to the ordinary. The reflection now matched reality. Her cheeks flushed from effort. She told herself she was seeing things after a 9-hour drive. She kept walking. 2 weeks later, the mirror had become a rumor. Naomi from 3B claimed she'd seen snow falling behind her reflection, though September was still humid. Jamal insisted he'd watched himself accept a robotics prize while his real fingers clutched a half-eaten Pop-Tart. Most residents laughed it off, except those who'd experienced it. They spoke quieter, as if the glass might be listening. Mara avoided eye contact with her own reflection until a Wednesday night, when assignments piled like sediment. She left her room seeking a soda, dragging along her friend Elijah, skinny, radiant with restless optimism, a poet majoring in mechanical engineering. Returning, they found the hallway lights dimmed by a campus energy-saving schedule. The mirror gleamed with a soft internal luminosity. "Watch this," Elijah whispered. He stepped before the frame. At first he was simply Elijah, loose curls, smudged glasses, Hawthorne hoodie. Then the mirror wavered. Inside it, alternate Elijah wore a tailored suit, hair trimmed short, accepting applause on a TED stage. Behind him glowed a screen reading, "Your new fusion engine." The audience rose for a standing ovation. Real Elijah exhaled, mesmerized. "It knows what you want," Mara said, though the words surprised her. She felt a tug in her sternum, as if cords bound her ribs to the vision. Alternate Elijah finished his speech. He looked straight out of the glass, not at the crowd, but at the 2 students in the dingy hallway. He raised an eyebrow, smiled with wry invitation, and extended his hand forward. The reflective surface bulged outward, a meniscus of glimmering mercury. Mara yanked Elijah's backpack, pulling him away an instant before the glass resilified. The mercury droplet dripped up into nothingness. They both stumbled back, panting. A door slammed. Someone yelled about quiet hours. The mirror, inert again, only displayed 2 breathless freshmen. "That felt real," Elijah murmured. "Too real," Mara agreed. She shoved her soda can into his hands as if it were a talisman. "Come on." They hurried down the hall. Neither slept well. Hawthorne's library held everything from medieval manuscripts to dusty athletic trophies. Mara camped there between classes, researching dorm folklore. She uncovered a 1974 article from the student paper. "Third-floor glass, portal or hoax?" The piece cited residents who claimed to see the life they should have led. One sophomore had vanished mid-semester. Campus police chalked it up to dropping out, but friends insisted she'd climbed into the glass, chasing a vision of Broadway lights. Mara slammed her laptop closed, pulse racing. Elijah arrived with coffee and 2 perplexed eyebrows. She told him what she'd learned. "So, there's precedent," he said quietly. "What if someone actually disappeared? What if the mirror doesn't just show alternate realities? What if it steals people?" Elijah toyed with his cup lid. "Suppose it's offering choices. Stealing implies no consent." "It's manipulation," Mara insisted. "It shows your deepest regret or desire, then says, 'See, you can have it.'" She almost told him what she'd seen. Herself back home, this time arguing with her mother before storming off to college. In the mirror version, they hugged instead, and her mom's eyes glistened with pride, not fear. But Mara swallowed that confession like a shard. They agreed on a plan, observe the mirror methodically, experiment, document. If danger emerged, they would alert the resident director, maybe even facilities. Observation log, day 1, 9:13 p.m. Mirror room empty, dim light, no anomalies for 3 minutes. Day 3, 11:02 p.m. Naomi arrives, gazes. Alternate Naomi wearing opera gown, singing to thunderous applause. Real Naomi reaches out. Mara coughs deliberately, breaking the spell. Naomi flees, embarrassed. Day 5, 12:47. IM mirror displays Mara's bedroom back home. Mom placing acceptance letter on pillow, tears of joy. Alternate Mara enters, they hug. Real Mara steps back, heart pounding. Elijah found her that night, shaking. We need a new approach, he decided. He sketched sensors on a napkin. Ultrasonic, thermal, maybe a LiDAR array borrowed from robotics lab. If the surface becomes non-linear, bulges will detect spatial displacement. Data beats superstition. His enthusiasm warmed her. They acquired a cheap infrared camera, taped grid lines on the floor, and set up beyond the RA's line of sight. For 2 consecutive nights, nothing happened. The mirror seemed an ordinary artifact reflecting stressed students. Then, at 2:11 a.m. while Elijah adjusted the tripod, Mara saw movement in the glass. Alternate Mara again, this time standing alone on a beach at dawn. Toes sunk in pink sand, no mother, no regret, tranquil. She reached out, the glass softened, grid lines warped, the IR camera beeped, temperature drop of 10 degrees. Elijah lunged, grabbed her wrist, but the glass clung like taffy, stretching, shimmering around her fingers. Mara felt cool mist and smelt salt. Her body leaned, equilibrium abandoning her. Panic flashed. If she fell forward, she might emerge on that impossible shore, never to return. Elijah! She tried to yank free. He braced his heels against linoleum. Something snapped. Mara flew backward into him. They crashed onto the hallway floor, cords and sensor wires tangling them. When they righted themselves, the mirror was again a normal pane. But her fingertips were wet with brine. She tasted the droplets, unmistakably seawater. Rumors escalated. A sophomore named Lennox swore he'd met his deceased brother in the mirror. 2 art majors claimed the glass gave off a low hum at midnight, like monks chanting underwater. People started leaving post-it notes on the frame. What do you want? Choose wisely. Others posed for selfies, chasing internet clout. The weekend before midterms, the dorm hosted an open mic in the lounge. Elijah read a new poem, voice trembling. We stand between silvered pages. / inked by the weight of unlived days. Applause rose, but Mara watched him only. Alternate Elijah glowed behind her eyelids. The inventor applauded by millions. Later he approached Mara, eyes ringed with exhaustion. I've been thinking, maybe the mirror isn't evil. Maybe it's a crossroads. Each glimpse is an invitation to confront our choices. If we step through with clear intent. No, she said. Intent or not, that's escape. It's giving up the real. But how real is real? He pushed. Quantum theory, multiple worlds? Who's to say stepping sideways is wrong? Mara wanted to shout that she'd tasted the sea, felt the tug, heard the glass calling her by name in her own voice. Instead she whispered, promise me you won't go alone. He didn't answer. The night it happened, rain hammered the windows, thunder a relentless metronome. Fire alarms shrieked at 1:06 a.m. A cooking mishap in the basement kitchen. Residents filed outside, umbrellas blooming like startled bats. Mara, half asleep, joined the exodus. She noticed Elijah was missing. Lightning flared. In its blue wash she pictured the 3rd floor landing, empty, sensors idle, mirror unattended. She broke from the crowd, dashed back inside before security could stop her, sprinted up stairwells lit by emergency bulbs. Water dripped from her hair, turpentine smell of stress flooding her lungs. Elijah stood before the mirror, trembling. In the glass he was older, laureled by acclaim, a luminary. Next to alternate Elijah stood alternate Mara, confident, a senator, a peace offering between them. They all smiled. The scene radiated fulfillment like a warm hearth. Real Elijah touched the surface. A ring of light expanded from his fingertip. Glass turned liquid. Wind roared inward, as though the mirror were inhaling. Elijah! Mara shouted. He looked back. I just need to know, he said, tears streaking his cheeks. She grabbed his arm, but the mirror pulled like riptide. Her shoes slid across tile. She felt pressure behind her ribs again, a painful yearning. If she let go, he would vanish. Inside the glass, alternate Mara beckoned her with kindness so profound it cut. The reflection mouthed words she couldn't hear over the gale, but Mara could read lips. It's okay. Come home. Home. The mirror leveraged every regret, every unsaid apology. Her mother's anxious face when they last spoke, the scholarship she'd nearly refused, the fear that if she failed here, all sacrifices would crumble. Mara thought of the dorm lounge, ugly couches and cheap coffee, of late nights carrying each other's laughter over problem sets, of futures unwritten but still possible. She thought of Elijah, reading poems no one else understood. She tightened her grip on his shirt, feeling fabric strain against suction. Elijah, listen. Her voice cracked. That life looks perfect, but it isn't ours. It's a photograph someone else took. If we go, we abandon the right to make this life better. He squeezed his eyes shut. The air around them whipped up dust motes, swirling into the mirror like reverse snow. From somewhere distant came the beep of a smoke alarm resetting. Mara braced her feet, leaned backward with all her weight. Elijah toppled with her onto the floor. The mirror shrieked, a sound of grinding ice. Then the wind halted. When they sat up, the hallway was calm. The mirror's surface was fractured by a spider web of silver cracks. Slowly, like frost melting, the fissures healed until the glass was smooth again, but its sheen had dulled, as though antiquity finally caught up. Elijah sobbed into Mara's shoulder, repeating, "I'm sorry," until words lost meaning. Hobe maintenance crew removed the mirror the next day. Officially, it was a safety hazard after structural deterioration. Students protested. Some mourned its departure like losing a pet. Facilities promised to store it in a secure warehouse pending evaluation. Mara and Elijah never learned where it went. They limped through midterms. Elijah skipped robotics club, rewrote poetry lines in the margins of his calculus notes. Mara called her mother for the first time in weeks, voice trembling. They talked for an hour about nothing and everything. Laundry tips, homesickness, a new kitten adopted back home. When Mara hung up, her chest felt unclenched. One afternoon they sat on the quad beneath a ginkgo tree. Golden leaves fluttered like small mirrors falling from the sky. "Do you ever regret not stepping through?" Elijah asked. Mara considered. "I regret 1,000 things every day, but that doesn't mean I want a shortcut." He nodded, staring at his hands. "I keep thinking about choice. The mirror offered certainty, for a price. Out here everything is maybe. Maybe I'll invent something important, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll love the next poem, maybe it'll suck. It's terrifying." "That's the bargain of existing," Mara said, "infinite maybes. But they're ours. No reflection can steal them unless we surrender." A breeze carried laughter from a cluster of students tossing a frisbee. Elijah watched the disc arc through sunlight, a parabola of imperfect grace. His mouth curved upward. "Do you think," he ventured, "that somewhere in another reality our alternates are regretting stepping away from this world?" "Maybe," Mara replied with a shrug. "Infinite maybes, remember?" They shared a quiet chuckle, a fragile but genuine sound. Weeks turned to months. Winter coated Hawthorne in snow like chalk dust. Finals week arrived with its ritual of caffeine and all-night study. On the last day of exams, Mara found a small package outside her dorm door. No return address, just her name, handwritten in green ink. Inside lay a mirror shard no bigger than a playing card, edges smooth, surface clouded. Beside it a note. "You didn't look away. Neither should we. Keep choosing. Elijah, of course." She angled the shard, half expecting to see beaches or election nights. Instead it showed only her face, hair in disarray, eyes rimmed red from studying. She smiled at herself, awkward and honest. The shard reflected that smile, and nothing supernatural. Mara slipped it into her wallet like a photograph. She headed downstairs, where Elijah waited with 2 steaming cups of cocoa. Snowflakes drifted past the window, each one a microcosm of possibility. Together they stepped into the evening, leaving footprints that branched and overlapped, a map of choices laid across fresh white canvas.